Jimmy Olsen, number 7, Matt Fraction writing with Steve Lieber on art. Take it away.
Oh boy, this is another dense issue, isn't it?
Oh, not so much in that it's a lot to take in, but it didn't take me as long to read.
That's fair.
But there is a lot going on. However, it gets broken up with the Little Olsons, which is done Sunday Comics
Yeah, it's
style,
like
like
classic comic stuff.
Peanuts
Yeah.
or Family Circus, and we get to see the relationship between the Olsen siblings, and also Jimmy's interview at the Daily Planet. So there's a lot of foundational stuff here in who Jimmy Olsen is.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much this book actually fits in to
Mhm.
20 odd pages.
It does. And so at the beginning, we have Jimmy talking to a psychiatrist or a therapist about how he feels like he's actually 5 Jimmys in one, and like it's very hard for him. And then it lists all the different versions of Jimmy that we know.
Yeah, you've got the journalist one.
Yeah.
You've got the changing restless Jimmy who
Mhm.
appears as a lizard in his brain.
Yeah.
You've got the prankster, which naturally looks like a kid.
Yep.
The investigator, which looks like the hard-boiled noir detective who's really
Mhm.
run down. And then there's him trying to keep it all together, and looks
Just regular Jim.
yeah,
Yeah.
slightly neater hair than regular Jimmy,
Yeah.
but more or less regular.
Mhm.
Interesting.
But yeah, and basically knocks the therapist. I'm sure there'll be some more of that once we get there. So nothing in this book is exactly what it seems, because to skip over the little Jimmy parts, because we can go back to that.
Yeah.
Him and his sister are going to where we don't know, but she's driving an old school electric car, and they got Dexter in there with them.
Because of
And,
course, I love that Dexter's just kind of here in this book now.
yeah, why not? It's just
Yeah.
he's Jimmy's cat now.
Yeah, and he's playing with like bits of camera roll at him and like, hey,
Yeah.
come and be a kitty, and like,
Mhm.
this is Dexter. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah. And not Jim Corrigan, not that Jim Corrigan, we should say,
Do you know what
is
that joke
investigating.
has been reminding me of something in Doctor Who,
Oh,
where
yeah?
there was a character called Harriet Jones, and she was like an MP, and then she was Prime Minister, and she'd always introduce her as Harriet Jones, Prime Minister, and then the other person would go, "We know who you are."
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of that joke for whatever reason. I can hear
It's
the
a little bit.
inflection.
Well, they go, oh, like Jim Corrigan, not that Jim Corrigan. That's always.
Yeah.
But he's from Metropolis PD, and so he's investigating the, not assassination of Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
And as he's talking to the
Motel owner.
yeah, who has said, I just told him don't go near the curtains. If he had just listened,
near the Coitons.
the Coitons, right? But the doctor's there too with them, because he runs in to warn Jimmy,
He's
and
like,
as they're having
I'm too late, or maybe I'm too early.
he can't even tell anymore. This flying saucer ship crash lands, and Jixelle comes out, who's the girl that Jimmy married all that long ago, who his presence and the fact that he never got it annulled is ruining this other wedding that she's involved in. But you come to find out that this jewel thief is the professor's daughter, and that they escaped the wherever they're from. I forget.
Infraverse, the oververse, ultraspace, underspace, the quantum verse, the microstream,
Philadelphia, which I love. Yeah.
Yeah.
But came looking for Jimmy, and then she really doesn't want to explain to Dad why she's looking for Jimmy.
She's just like, no reason.
Yeah.
He just sounds helpful.
So
editor's note: she's lying.
She's lying, right? And as they try to stop him, she gets up into the spaceship and then takes off. And Corrigan wonders,
hey, this is space stuff. This is out of your jurisdiction. We'll deal with this.
Yeah, and he goes, wait, why do all these people want to find Jimmy Olsen and kill him? Yeah, and kill him. You really asking? I'm finally starting to understand why. But it goes back to the little Olsen. So what we have there is all three of the kids in Sunday comic style talking about what they want to be when they grow up, and
Have we
the
seen
sister.
much of the third one in present day?
No, just at the beginning because he got mad at Jimmy for destroying the statue that he was trying to preserve.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot
Other
though, have we?
No, I can't even remember his name. It
No,
does start
me
with a
neither.
J because they're all
Obviously,
J's.
it's Jimmy, Jamie, and
Unknown J.
yeah,
So, but so basically, the sister from the start wanted to be a theater writer, but like she has this really fun soliloquy
it's like
about
she wants to be an actor, but not really. She only wants to be an
no,
actor so that she can be a writer and do all her own
right,
stuff.
right, which then reminded me of Marriage Story and Adam Driver's character story, right?
Oh man,
Right,
oh.
that's his thing there.
Way
And then
to bring my mood down, Matt.
sorry. And then the older brother's like, well, that's boring. He basically just wants to take over the city, which I feel that's ominous because he wants to make it better.
Yeah.
And then they ask Jimmy what he wants to be, and all the stuff that he starts listing. He wants to be a cowboy monster. He wants to have 100 dogs that are ninjas.
Yeah,
He wants to eat pies on the moon. He wants to fight Christmas monsters, and then just a whole list of stuff that people have checked, and a lot of these are from Jimmy Olsen comics.
I bet
Like,
they are. You know what? I didn't even feel like I needed to check. I went, these are 90% of these have all happened because of course they have, because Jimmy Olsen is a weird bastard in comics.
Yeah. A beetle that he wants to be a beetle, but in Julius Caesar times, that's one that exactly happened.
Of course it did.
Yep. And 5 things that are really 3 things. I thought that one was a weird one, but basically he's sad and the sister's taking his hand. So you can just tell that the sister's been the one that's kind of always been there for him. And no matter what kind of insanity he gets involved in, she's there. And so it goes to them playing hide and seek when they're kids, same style. And Jimmy gets lost and ends up the whole family has to come look for him.
Yeah.
So
he won that game, that's for sure.
Yes, he did. And then we get to his interview, which Perry's kind of like, well, why do I need to hire you? Like, I don't. And
I ended up loving this because I was shocked because at first it's like, hey, I'm Olsen, I'm the rich kid, just hire me, right? Yep. And then it swerves it as to, nah, he's not like that at all.
Mm-mm.
And
I'm very good at getting into places that I shouldn't be, but because I'm Jimmy Olsen, people don't question me. It's the ultimate cover.
Yeah, and Perry's kind of like, oh, I get it. You're rich. You've got family connections. Yeah. I'm not hiring you just because of that. I'm not, I'm not that sort of person.
Uh-huh.
And you kind of feel like going through this that Jimmy's there just because he's Jimmy Olsen, right?
Right.
And then it's like, no, he brought this scoop. You know, he got this picture of the mayor with some criminal guy who, in a court trial, swore under oath that he never knew, he'd never met before.
Right. And you get a sense of Jimmy's morality, too, because the reason that he ended up in that room to get that picture was because they had fired one of the staff at this country club that he's been going to. Yeah. So then when he started to look for where the guy was, he runs into the guy's wife, and the guy's wife also works there, who then, goes, oh, well, he's in the meeting. So because he's Jimmy Olsen, nobody questions why he's there or why he's taking pictures. And he's like, well, she's like, wait, so you brought a scoop for your interview? He's like, well, yeah, but I figured you'd...
Yeah, I didn't want to just assume you'd give me a job because of my last name, because there's a lot of places in town that want to give me a job because of my last name, but I wanted you to know I'd pull my weight.
Right, and that he wants to make a difference. Like, as goofy as Jimmy Olsen is, at the end of the day, despite who he is and where he comes from, he has this sense of, I want to make the world a better place. And you understand why he's Superman's best friend, right?
Absolutely. Like, and then it ends, it's Perry there going, I don't know if we've got the budget for another salary or, for a whole new person on staff. Jimmy's like, I don't need a salary. Like you said, I'm rich. Joe, what do I care? Just hire me and let me do some
salary would be
stuff.
Weird. Yeah. And Lois even goes to bat for him here, where he talks about how he, he's got great hustle. He talks to people. He's got a good eye. Like, he's a really good photojournalist and he's not even trying. Imagine if he tried. That's the undercurrent that I feel that she has there. And then so he's like, you don't have to pay me. So Perry and Lois look at each other.
Like, why in the hell not?
Yep. Welcome to the planet. And then we get a meeting. So I don't know when this is supposed to be taking place. If this is around the same time or if this is right
It
now.
it feels a little earlier because
Yeah,
you know
Lex.
they're calling Lex Alexander, like they don't, like he's not the entire
Right,
big shot that he is already.
right. And he shows up to a meeting with Jimmy's dad, and he brings him a bunch of expensive cigars and whatnot. And he's basically trying to make a deal with him.
He's like, yeah, I know our families have been at war for
Yeah.
hundreds of years, but isn't this easier?
Uh-huh. And he's like, where's that at here? Tells him to have a seat. He goes, no, I don't think I'll be doing that. And basically, Lex tries to get the higher ground, but Jimmy's dad doesn't,
Yeah,
doesn't
because
flinch.
basically Lex is like, I own all of this,
Right.
and he's like, yeah, you own the buildings, sure,
But we
yeah,
don't.
but I own the land underneath them, and that's what matters more.
Right. And so he gets real mad,
And
and
it's just Jimmy in the corner taking a picture as
Yep.
well.
And then and he runs out as they yell Jimmy. But
Yeah.
but we find out that where Janie and Jimmy were going is Opal City, and we finally get the, again, Fraction breaking the fourth wall with the, oh yeah, we forgot to put a title page in. So here it is during the last part of the book.
Yeah.
It's got to be breaking some rules. But he ends up in Opal City, and it's this big, opulent, pardon the pun,
Yeah,
city.
definitely.
But he's like, why would I want to be here? And he looks around, and everybody's dressed like him.
Yeah, they've got the
sweater
bow
vests
tie,
on,
the sweater
bow
vests.
ties. And he's like, no, 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 no. And they end up leaving. And the sister's kind of upset. So I wonder what this is about. Like,
yeah, it's just kind of weird because they get there and she's like, "Welcome to Opal City. Hope you survived the experience." He's like,
yeah,
"Why would you say that? That's weird."
Yeah.
She's like, "It's just a thing people say," which I mean it is,
Right.
but
right.
it's weird. And he's like, "No, not in this book."
No. So, and from what I know about Opal City, that's where Starman is. That's where the
Yeah.
Atom operates out of. So I'm just trying to figure out why
Opal?
Why Opal? Why are they all dressed like Jimmy? Like, what is going on? So there's still enough threads here that I'm finally starting to put together the Olsen Luther stuff here, where a lot of that comes from.
Yeah.
Of course, it has to do with the land dealings and Lex being this, even though he's from a family that's well known, that's been in Metropolis since it was New Overstad.
The Olsens still own the actual land, and that's what matters.
Yeah,
and Lex hates that.
But they're treating Lex like he's this new money guy that's coming in, because Lex is even like, I don't understand why I have to come to this tomb of all you old people that think you have a say on what I can and can't do. So it's very almost like new tech, kind of what I wanted out of the Batman versus Superman Lex, and not the
I could see Eisenberg playing this Lex.
Yeah, right. Like he's
Yeah.
got the swagger because he's young and he has money, but this guy that's been doing it longer than Lex has been alive, you can kind of get the vibe. But yeah, no, it's really good. Like
This book is much deeper than I ever gave it credit for at the start,
Yeah.
because there's so much going on, and it feels
it-
like, hey, it's just the jokey fun thing, and it is always jokey and fun and delightful.
yeah, but it's also throwing in these, I don't want to say politics. It's really not politics, but it's the dynamics of powerful families and what that means to the average people. And you can see that Jimmy doesn't like that. He doesn't like that his family is this upper crust treating people like they don't matter.
Yeah, that's why he's going out to work for the planet for free, because
Right.
he doesn't know what else could be better.
Right, because he can expose all of this. He's from that world, and it's why I had such an issue with Iron Fist, the Netflix show, is instead of focusing on the dude that becomes best friends with Luke Cage, who's from this rich family that could have done anything he wanted, he's fighting on the side of the people that are not like him. And basically what Fraction's doing with Jimmy, which is, then I remember Matt Fraction had a hand in my favorite Iron Fist story.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the idea that he's kind of giving up all of that rich fanciness to be the common man, so to speak, as much as he can, being Jimmy Olsen.
Right. So, yeah, really, really good. Fraction's doing the Lieber's art's good. I feel it's the cleanest. I feel like, and I feel because it's nostalgic. Like it's not as cartoony. I mean, it is in the
It's-
cartoon parts,
I
right?
think, yeah, I wonder if it is actually any more cartoony or less cartoony. I think it's more just that because the Lil Olsen stuff is
Yeah.
so over the top, classic cartoon,
Right.
that the rest of it feels less cartoony in
Well,
comparison.
I just feel like the Lex scene, it's not as cartoony, right? It's
Uh,
almost like if we're looking through Jimmy's lens, everything's cartoony, but when we take the step out of there, we see the real world of it. And this is the first time I feel like we're getting that. You know
No,
what I
you're
mean?
right. Looking at it now, it's a lot cleaner lines in the Lex
Yeah.
stuff, and it's not as over exaggerated.
Right. So, and I'm feeling so that's the break in it that we're seeing things. This is the realness or the reality of it, because it doesn't have Jimmy's like, oh well, this is funny, because he wants to be a cowboy monster, right? It gives us good insight on Jimmy Olsen, but yeah, man, this is a book that I didn't believe at the beginning, and now I look forward to it every month. Like, it's a
Yeah,
real fun book.
I was kind of looking forward to it. Just on, it's Fraction. I like Fraction well enough,
Mhm.
and then now it's low key becoming like a favorite in that every
Yeah.
issue is so dependable and
Mhm.
like I say, it's dense in a good way that it has a lot going on, but it's still fast to read. But there's so much going
Yeah.
on in it,
Mhm.
but it's also very funny as well, and that
Yeah.
it's unlike any other DC book right now.
That's definitely just with the way it's laid out and whatnot, and then just Fraction's level of comedy that he's bringing to it. Like, it weirdly makes me, even though these books have nothing in common except for Fraction, but like Sex Criminals, a lot of the jokes that were in there have the same underlying, like, they hit you later, like they're kind of subtle. And
Yeah, I
here
can see
they're
that.
more slapsticky stuff, but like the sister saying how she wants to go and actress first, but I only actress so then I can start my own repertory theater. Like, who thinks of that? Why does it need to be in a comic book? But
Yeah,
there it is.
especially this young kid who's maybe
Yeah.
like 6 or 7.
Right. So, but yeah, I guess you could say this is almost like I don't want to say Wes Anderson because I'm not a big fan of his filmmaking, but there's that Wes Anderson-y,
Kind of
like,
quirky, offbeat feel.
quirky, heightened sense of reality vibe to this book. That yeah, and that drives me nuts. I'll say Spike Jonze. Spike Jonze does that too, and I enjoy his movies more.
I can see that.
So, yeah, but cool. What you giving it, Connor?
It's 8.5. It's a great issue, and it's nice
Yeah,
to give
I'm gonna
something
give this a
a
9.
higher rate.
Yeah, 9 out of me. I really enjoyed this one.
It's good.